Ah, Soren, why are you such a freaking racist? Path of Radiance on the GameCube was a really solid Fire Emblem game. Great story, characters, maps, definitely a worthy entry to the series. However, that's not to say I didn't have a few gripes with the game. For important context, it's worth mentioning that at the time of playing Path of Radiance, I had only played two Fire Emblem games prior, those being Binding Blade and Blazing Sword. I think it's important to note where I'm coming from, as my perspective would probably have been different had, say, this game been the first Fire Emblem game I played. As it very well should have been had my picky dumbass actually got it back in the day when I had the chance.
Back to the old days of Circuit City.
So getting some quick things out of the way, the soundtrack is really great. One thing that stood out to me was the first map theme and how much of a contrast it was in tone to the first map theme from Blazing Sword, which was the Fire Emblem I played prior. The game is full of these types of themes that really set the tone for the atmosphere. A few of my favorites being A Battle at the Beginning, The White Heron, Change of Scenery, the Black Knight's theme, and freaking Life Returns, which is like the game's token lyrical song. Characters also deserve a mention, with most of them having their own defined personality and goals, which really makes them stand out from each other. My personal favorite being Jill, for the change in disposition she goes through as the game progresses. And of course Sneysala, who's one deceitful, snarky little fuckboy. What the fuck? Oh. Well, he's not like that. I take that back. Oh, and I need to add that some of these guys are just so flippin' sexy like, and the gameplay goes without saying. Tactical turn-based strategy role-playing game goodness. It's just as addicting and as infuriating as ever. Though not in a Binding Blade kind of way. Fuck you, Roy. Speaking of which, I kinda think that this game reuses some of the same sort of ideas that was in Binding Blade. I mean, aside from these dudes, we have the young good guy who has to take over for the unit when his father steps down, the big bad mean military powered nation starts taking over, we gotta escort the princess throughout the game and stop Mr. Generic bad guy. Although King Zepho was much more of a better villain than Ashnard. Zepho at least had more of a dynamic to him, what with his family troubles and such. I don't know what Ashnard's deal is. Maybe his front lines just weren't doing it for him, I don't know. Though that's not to make the game's story seem rehashed, there's plenty more here for the player to get into. But with all that being said, here's what sorta disappointed me about the game. Now, this is both the first Fire Emblem game in 3D and the first to come into a console in the US. In fact, the last console Fire Emblems were on the Super Nintendo, so it skipped the Nintendo 64 entirely. Even though it pioneered the series being in 3D and made a console comeback, I don't really feel like it gained much from being on the GameCube. I mean, yeah, there's animated cutscenes and voice acting, like barely 10 minutes of it total. Hell, they devoted an entire CGI rendered cutscene of Miss looking at her medallion going, "The fuck is... what this is?" For like 5 seconds, but that's beside the point. The game didn't exactly do that much with the hardware to make me think, yeah, this game had to come out for the GameCube, there's no way they could have compromised this. Basically, I feel if this came out for the Nintendo DS, it wouldn't be that much different than it is now. Sure, we may not have those CGI cutscenes, but I'd settle for some animated portraits of some of the more critical scenes. Like, maybe something along the lines of Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. I'm not sure, just spitballing. Yeah, some compromises would have to be made for the presentation, but the gameplay would largely be the same. Heck, it probably could have even been made for the Game Boy Advance. Like, that's how I feel how little innovation to the gameplay there was. Okay, maybe the Game Boy Advance is a bit of a stretch, but not the DS, at least I don't think. Path of Radiance definitely adds some new features that weren't in the Game Boy Advance ones, or maybe they were in Sacred Stones, I'm not sure, I haven't played that yet. But I don't think anything they added was due to the power of the GameCube. Anything it does add is really just the cosmetic stuff, like the whole being in 3D thing and the cutscenes, and the oh so blissful voice acting. Otherwise, to reiterate, for being on the GameCube instead of the DS or Game Boy Advance if we really want to stretch it, Path of Radiance doesn't really do a whole lot to expand the series or take it in a direction that it hasn't seen before. When it comes to the gameplay. I mean, I guess there's the Lagoos, but... Again, this in no way means it's a dull game or anything like that. In fact, I highly recommend it to anyone watching this. It's really good. This is mainly just a personal gripe kind of thing, because, like I mentioned earlier, if I had played this one before the others, these feelings probably wouldn't even exist. Or maybe they would once I actually did go back and play the Game Boy Advance once, I don't know. But still, it's a great game, so check it out via some form of emulation, or if Nintendo re-releases the game in some way in the future. Because fuck me, even Fire Emblem ain't worth this.